Hey everyone, and welcome. Are you ready for a little challenge? Because today we've got the Great Habitat and Teamwork Quiz, and we're going to see just how much you know about the natural world. Let's do this.
All right, so here's how it's going to work. We've got 2 rounds of questions for you, all about where animals live and how they team up to survive. So, you think you're ready? Let's jump right into round 1.
Okay, so round 1 is all about habitats and survival. We're going to look at what it takes for a living thing to make it in the wild. You ready for question number 1? Here it comes.
So let's kick things off with, well, probably the most important word for this whole round. The question is, what is a habitat? Take a second. What do you think?
If you said it's the place where a plant or animal lives, you nailed it. Yep, a habitat is just its natural home, its environment. You can think of it like its address in the wild. Pretty straightforward, right?
Okay, next up, and this one is super important. For any living thing to survive, really survive, its habitat has to give it 4 essential things. Can you name them? All 4 of them? This is a biggie.
Okay, the big 4 are food, water, oxygen, and safety. You've got to have food for energy, water to drink, oxygen to breathe, and a safe place to hide from danger. Without all 4 of those, well, it's just not going to work. They're absolutely essential. All right, let's zoom in a little bit. We're talking about habitats that are in the water. Aquatic habitats. So can you name the 2 main types? I'll give you a little hint. It's all about what the water tastes like. Kind of.
Yes, you got it. We've got saltwater habitats, think the ocean, and freshwater habitats, like rivers and dams. Totally different worlds, but both are just packed with all kinds of life.
Okay, let's talk about plants for a minute. There's a type of plant out there that has a pretty amazing superpower for surviving in super dry places. So what do we call these plants that are experts at storing water?
They're called succulents. Exactly. Like cacti and those cool, fleshy plants you see. They basically just soak up water and store it in their leaves and stems for not a rainy day, but for a really dry day. It's an amazing survival trip.
Okay, riddle me this. I'm thinking of a habitat. It's got tons and tons of grass, but not a lot of trees. It's wide open, and the rain mostly shows up in the summer. What habitat am I describing?
That's a grassland habitat. You got it. Think about the African savanna or the American prairies. Those are perfect examples.
All right, this next one is a little trickier. We're talking indigenous versus invasive species. So what's the difference? Well, an indigenous species, like a springbok, is a local. It's always been there, it's part of the team, and everything's in balance. But an invasive species, that's like a party crasher. It's from somewhere else, has no natural enemies, and it just takes over, using up all the resources like water. So one is a team player, and the other can seriously mess things up for the locals.
And that's the end of round 1. You guys are doing awesome. So let's move on to round 2, which is all about nature's great teamwork. This is where we see how everybody helps everybody else out in the wild.
Okay, first question of the new round. It's a bit of a big word, but the idea behind it is actually super simple and honestly kind of cool. So, what does interdependence mean?
That's it. Interdependence is just a fancy way of saying that living things need each other to get by. They rely on each other to survive. In nature, it's all about teamwork. Nobody really goes it alone.
And this teamwork is happening everywhere. For example, you have host plants, like a big tree that gives smaller plants a place to live and find food. Then there's seed dispersal. Yep, that's animals spreading seeds around, sometimes in their poop, so new plants can grow. And of course, pollinators. Bees are a perfect example. They help plants make seeds, and in return, they get a yummy nectar snack. It's a win-win.
All right, every single habitat needs a good cleanup crew. And their job is, no joke, one of the most important ones out there. So, what are decomposers?
Decomposers are basically nature's recycling team. They eat all the dead stuff, breaking it down and returning all those good nutrients back into the soil. That's what helps new plants grow. Seriously, without them, the whole system would just stop.
Okay, we're at our final question of the quiz. Let's talk about some amazing animal partnerships. Can you think of just one example where one kind of animal helps out another kind?
There's so many great ones. Did you think of the oxpecker? That's a bird that eats all the annoying ticks right off a buffalo's back. Or how about the clownfish and the sea anemone? The anemone gives the clownfish a safe place to hide. How cool is that? Just incredible examples of teamwork out there.
And that is it. You made it to the end of the quiz. Seriously, congratulations! You guys did an amazing job. You're officially an ecology expert in my book.
So let's do a super quick recap of what we learned. The big things to remember are every living thing needs a habitat that gives it food, water, oxygen, and safety. And all these living things are interdependent. They all need each other to survive. It's one big team.
And with that, we're all done. But I'll leave you with one last thing to think about. Next time you're outside, just look around. What kinds of amazing plants and animals live in your habitat? It's pretty cool to think about, right? Thanks so much for playing along today.